Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all for today's e-conference on achieving sustainability via digital transformation, organized by Indian Chemical News, in association with presenting partner AVEVA and supporting partner Ingenero. Myself, Pravin, Prashant, editor Indian Chemical News, will be your host and moderator for today's conference. Today, we have an eminent set of panelists from chemical industry ecosystem. Without wasting any time, let me talk to you about the key discussion points for today's e-conference. The topic is achieving sustainability via digital transformation. Next slide. Next slide. So the key discussion points is increasing productivity through digital transformation, reducing carbon footprints through digital transformation, enabling digital infrastructure through expansion and innovations, digital cooperation and inclusiveness of stakeholders, role of big data in optimal planning and productivity, digitalization and reducing carbon footprint, increasing agility through digital transformation, converging digitalization and sustainability goals, and leveraging sustainable technologies. Next slide. So we have an eminent set of speakers. We have Mr. K.K. Jain, Executive Director, Center for High Technology, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. We have Mr. Ravi Jalan, Managing Director, GHCL. We have Mr. V. Srinivas, President IT, the Sanmar Group. Mr. Naveen Sodhiya, Head IT and Digital, Rallis India Limited. Mr. Samir Dhaga, President and CIO, Pi Industries Limited. Mr. Deepak Keni, EVP, Special Projects and Enablers, Deepak Fertilisers and Petrochemicals Corporation. Mr. Ritwik Rath, Chief General Manager, IS Strategy, HPCL. Mr. Ronak Jain, Product Sales, AVEVA, and Dr. Pratap Nair, President and CEO, Ingenero Technologies India Limited. Next slide. For delegates, we have ICN Play and Win contest. This we have been doing for at least 3-4 times now. So in this contest, I would be asking questions from the audience during the course of the session, and one who responds first with the correct answer stands eligible for winning gift voucher from Amazon. Moderator will ask his questions and replies need to be given in the chat window box. So we need to give in the chat window box of your respective screen on Zoom platform. This needs to be catered to. Final winners to be announced at the end of the conference at around 4:30. Only the persons with the correct answer responding first in order of priority shall be declared winner. Organizers and sponsor partners, employees, as well as speakers are not eligible to participate in the contest. Organizers' decision to be treated as final in case of any discrepancies and gift vouchers to be sent electronically to all the winners. Next. This is a bumper contest that we have just added this time. I will be asking the questions during the course of the session, and one who responds first with the correct answer stands eligible for winning a smartphone, Xiaomi smartphone. Moderator will ask bumper question. Replies need to be given in the chat window. So all the replies need to be given in the chat window itself of your respective screen on the Zoom platform. Final winners to be announced at the close of the e-conference at around 4:30 p.m. Delegates who will give accurate. So this is a subjective, not a say multiple choice, but subjective part. So delegates who give accurate and most logical answer and responding first in order of priority will have a chance to win as Xiaomi smartphone. And winner will be decided by the speakers and the ICN editorial team. So the speakers will be given the answers, the top 3, and once they decide, we will then announce the winner second. So speakers will get all the set of the best 3 answers in their chat window, and they can then mail it back to the organizers, and we can then announce the winners. Organizers and sponsor partner employees are not eligible to participate, and organizer decision to be treated as final in case of any discrepancies. Next slide. So this was just a small presentation from my side. Now let me start the e-conference by asking Mr. Ronak Jain, Product Sales, AVEVA, to give his presentation Over to Mr. Ronak Jain.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let me start and let me just ask if you all can see my screen and if you can all hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Perfect. Thank you for this particular opportunity, and hope everyone is keeping well, safe in their homes. Thank you, Indian Chemical News, to give me this opportunity to be to present here with the eminent panelist here, right? My name is Ronak Jain. I represent AVEVA, and it is, as you might have actually heard from Naveen last time, AVEVA, we help our customers in actually digital transformation across their asset and operations life cycle. And we categorize our solutions in three portfolio, which is engineering, operations, and performance. We are focused and committed on the innovation to bring value to our customers. Today's topic is actually sustainability via digital transformation. And when we talk about sustainability, I think we will have to start with the Paris Climate Agreement. This was a triggering event which led all the organization, companies, countries, and even authorities to take the concrete steps towards better future. As you can see on the screen, it actually led or it amounts to a 15 trillion of investment across different strategic directions to keep the global warming in check. And these are some of the strategic directions which you can see on screen, right? Now, among G500 companies, these particular companies actually took some of the steps, and 90% of these companies have now integrated climate as the corporate strategy. 1/3 of them has started performing transitional strategy scenario analysis against the company profile, and 75% of them are reviewing their strategy half yearly. If I talk about chemical industry, it actually has to take a vital role to play in sustainability as well. The chemical, on one hand, chemical products are actually essential to many low carbon technology, including renewable, housing, mobility. Moreover, chemistry will be needed to develop resistant material adapted to more severe weather conditions. On the other hand, chemical productions energy and CO2 intensive, right? This is why this particular sector is classified as hard to abate. Major greenhouse emitters in the chemical industry, I would say, would be steam cracker, ammonia plant, and adipic acid. If we talk about how we can reduce or the potential CO2 reduction possibilities, we can talk about energy and process optimization. We can talk about renewable energy supply, and we can also talk about reduced CO2 reduction by breakthrough technologies. If I go to next slide, AVEVA actually supports you with sustainable development with multiple portfolio solutions we have with unified engineering, unified operations, and optimized performance. We also have value chain optimization, which is specifically driven to have optimization and energy efficiency and optimization in that particular case. Research on major selected industrial customer tells us that there are strategic directions to be taken on energy efficiency. This is almost 200 billion investment. This is majorly to monitor energy efficiency and to optimize there. There is carbon cap is 90 billion forecast investment, which is in form of digitalization, and there is upcoming technology called as digital rocks. There is natural gas, a 400 billion investment. There's water waste, and there is solar wind, where customers are looking to minimize their total installed cost. There is nuclear, biofuel, and hydrogen as well, where customers are looking for value chain operations and balance. AVEVA has solutions to cater to all these strategic directions. Now, if I talk about net zero, which is one of the smaller term or a short term strategy which customers are taking, I would highlight a couple of or 5 different steps which industry can take. The first one is CO2 modeling. So if I just talk about as an example of ammonia plant, this is a primary release of CO2 at plants using the natural gas in catalytic steam reforming process, which occurs during regeneration of CO2 scrubbing solutions with lesser emission resulting from condensate stripping, right? We can model those CO2 in the and in fact optimize that particular CO2 to create a sustainable solution for all the chemical plants. We have emission monitoring, where it can be done through hardware, it can be done through software, and when I say it can be done through software, it can be soft sensor by modeling your emission for predictive analysis. Then you can do process engineering optimization to reduce the energy consumption, to increase the efficiency. You can take the step as emission as part of optimization to actually optimize the emission within your processes and reduce it to a sustainable future, right? And then I would also talk about responsibility in the distribution network. So as organization, you might be having some solutions for your own organization, but you also have responsibility in distribution network where you're placing your products to your customers, and that is also emitting CO2 and greenhouse gases when it is being distributed. So a distribution network, distribution can also be modeled, and you can add the CO2 emissions from the distribution to optimize them. And we have actually done this with some of our customers to reduce the carbon emission as the organization with a responsibility on their distribution network. When we talk about all these steps, it can be taken with a digital transformation, and the solutions which AVEVA offers is AVEVA value chain optimization, and which consists of AVEVA supply chain management and AVEVA process optimization. And they are uniquely placed because they are process digital twin and can be collaborated across with the cloud technology and give the and can be handled by anyone and anywhere. Next, I talk about Neste. This is one of our customer where we had implemented our AVEVA unified supply chain management. The challenge of the customer was about multi-site, over 80 process unit and several components and product transfers, which they were trying to manage, with over 200 interesting supply, production, sales combination. And they were thinking of sustainable future because there was a lot of emission, as well as they were trying to maximize their profit. With Spiral Unified Supply Chain Management for both their oil and renewable products, we were able to save almost 90 million tons per year of CO2, as well as making them profitable with the entire network. So I would conclude it, and I would say that as AVEVA, we will support you with the sustainable future, as well as the optimization, and make it profitable for your organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ronak. One beautiful message which has come out is $50 trillion investment by 2050 if we are planning to achieve our sustainable development goals that is set up by UN. Now I would request
Absolutely.
Dr. Pratap Nair, President and CEO Ingenero Technologies India Limited, to give his presentation. I request him to be more specific and complete it by 7 minutes. Over to Dr. Pratap Nair.
Thank you, Pravin, and appreciate the opportunity to present here. Today, I'll be talking about how our experience working on improving sustainability through digitalization. We've been working in this industry for the last 20 years, supporting several companies, doing operations, performance management, detailed analytics, advanced analytics, and so on. So that's what we've leveraged. And over the last 5 or 6 years, we've been actually part of the digitalization initiatives, several companies, particularly in the US and some other geographies as well. Next slide, please. So if you look at sustainability, traditionally companies have, they've operated to try and maximize their profitability, keeping, with some of the regulatory compliances like health and safety, emissions, which was the paradigm. Of late, of course, sustainability has been added to the whole mix, and this is on account of realization of depleting non-renewable resources and climate change, Paris Convention, and so on. And there's a tremendous social pressure, and obviously the investment community has jumped on, and that increases the pressure to do this. And so sustainability is very much here as part of the mix. Next slide, please. So if you look at the avenues that we hear of today, I mean, there's a lot of talk on use of renewable resources, whether it's biofuels, biofeeds, recycling. It could be external product recycling, or even internal. And there's a lot that can be done with your existing brownfield operation in terms of reducing waste, reducing leaks, improve product recovery, yields. That has a tremendous impact on reducing your carbon footprint or going towards sustainability. And this is normally addressed through either process technologies, innovative engineering design, operations performance improvement, and these are all areas we work in. Next slide, please. As far as our industry is concerned, as you would all know, I mean, there's no dearth of data. There's a lot of data available. It's just that about 90% of the data traditionally has just been archived. And that's really where the whole digitalization and use of digital technologies comes in, to be able to use a lot of that data and find the gems of information and provide the augmented intelligence to be able to operate better. And all this can be done closer to real time. That's really where the difference is coming in. And hence, that improves the ability to be able to operate a lot better and also improve your sustainable parameters. Next slide, please. Now, if you look at typical digitalization, you collect the data. Now today with the IoT, you're able to. It's not important that the data is. All the experts come to the data. The data can go to the experts. However, one of the things we've seen through our experience that often gets overlooked is sometimes in our industry, direct use of data. Sometimes is limiting because there's a lot of errors in the data. So being able to address that is very important. And that's where the advanced analytic solutions become so important. And that's a key enabler for transformation and value capture. Next. And so that's one of the solutions we have. We call it Intelligent Software Solutions for Process Design Excellence. And we worked on this with several companies. One of the companies we worked with and concluded is now part of the, what they call the lighthouse companies. And we digitalized 40 of their facilities and, through using a lot of the advanced analytics, and it added about 22% to their bottom line. Next slide, please. Another very important aspect which often gets missed is in this whole drive for digitalization, there's a lot of focus on technology tools. I mean, people talk of machine learning, big data, and so on. But ultimately, you need the augmented intelligence, which really is having a solution that directly addresses some of your concerns and delivers the value. That transition going from tools to solution, there's a whole piece called decision engineering. And that is very important. And oftentimes that gets missed. And what we've seen is in about 70% of the cases where people have, the early adopters tried digitalization and did not really see the success, this was one of the key missing pieces. So the tools are really like atoms. Solution is like a molecule. I mean, we can all relate to it being in this industry. Next slide, please. So the iSpeed, as we call it, the set of solutions that we have, has a lot of things like the hybrid model, digital twin, the optimizer, real-time access, dashboards, soft sensors, false positives, which are minimized, which is very important. Next slide, please. I'll just quickly run you through some case examples of places where we've actually implemented using either innovative design or operations support, digital twin, digitalization of the solutions. So I'll just run you through 3 or 4 of those. Next slide, please. Here's an example. This was in one of the Mumbai refineries where we really had a digital twin already developed, and the heat integration just in one section provided significant energy savings. Obviously, that's always reduced carbon footprint. Next slide, please. Another example, this was one of the BP facilities, US Specialty Chemicals, again, managing the steam, provide about 14 milliwatt energy savings, and this was identified and implemented. Next slide, please. This is one of the solutions. So there are many solutions in that iSpeed, and this is one of them, Flame, which actually helps monitor, track, and predict a lot of the emissions and how you can, prescriptions, how you can minimize those emissions, which is again very important in the sustainability drive. Next slide, please. One of the things that comes with this is anomaly detection, early detection of anomalies. It can address reliability issues, it can predict, prevent safety concerns, as well as, again, it comes to emissions and sustainability. So essentially, we're talking of finding problems before they find you. So that's really what the augmented intelligence through digitalization does for you. Next slide, please. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I wanted to kind of share with you, just based on our experience. And I think I will wrap the presentation up here. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Pratap Nair, for your short and sweet presentation. Before I open it up for the panel discussion, let me come with the quiz questions, the 2 quiz questions first. And I would request the delegates to please answer it in the chat window. The first is, name AVEVA's customer mentioned in the presentation. Name AVEVA's customer mentioned in the presentation. If you are through with that, I am asking the second question. The second question is, what is the full form of ISSPDE? Once again, what is the full form of ISSPDE? Please answer it in the chat window. Those who planning to answer in Q&A will be disqualified. Thank you. So let me open with the panel discussion. And I'll request Mr. KK Jain, our first speaker. So he was the Executive Director, Center for High Technology. Sir, I would request if you can focus on the next 4 minutes. We will have 2 rounds. So I would request 4 minutes for each. So if you can talk about the digital transformation in oil and refining sector with respect to profitability margin and also sustainability at the same time. So over to Mr. KK Jain.
Thank you, Prashant, and thank you for inviting me and making me part of this important panel discussion. Just to start with, I am from the Indian Oil Corporation. I started my journey in 81. So right from 1981, I am continuing my journey, and I have seen when I joined one of the refineries in Indian Oil Corporation in 81, I have seen the kind of scenario when there was very, very little instrumentation in the old refineries. We used to collect the data and we used to write in the register every 2 hours as a plant engineer. So panel operator used to write, the operator used to go to the field, they used to make the note, and then in the registers, logbook we used to write every 2 hours data. So this continued in the 80s, and then I got transferred to one of the modern refinery where I saw the implementation of distributed control systems. Okay, I'm talking this in 1988. Okay, and that was a big buzz seeing the distributed control systems. PC kind of screens were there and a lot of excitement. And in fact, that was a time we had to justify why we should go for distributed control systems. Okay. So a lot of calculations, and we had to show that it will make a profit to the company. That's why we are going for distributed control system. I was the first person to justify this in Indian Oil Corporation in Mathura refinery, that this will make this much.
Okay.
Now today, the distributed control system is part of any new process unit when it is coming. So what I'm saying, right from the analog stage to the data compilation, then the converting data to the information, and then that information converting into, say, plant control systems through the advanced process controls or the, say, expert systems kind of things we have implemented, and then we have started the major decision-making kind of things, how to buy the crude using the LP modeling systems. So that started, well, of course, the private players, multinational companies had implemented this linear programming technology, but in Indian Oil and BPC, HPC, we implemented this thing around 2000, in the year early 2000s. Okay. So the production planning followed by the crude evaluation and crude procurement through the LP modeling systems, this started. So everything had started, the journey like in piece by piece mill. We have imbibed all this, first thing is the digitization, and then the digitalization, and then came the situation when we have to merge the plant data and the, say, our transaction data into one system for better decision making, better and quick decision making. So of course there were a lot of concern earlier that DCS used to be one very, very you can say very safe system. It will not be, the data will not be communicated outside the boundary of the plant. Then the data monitoring started, and the time has come now, and we have seen now how we have utilized this data in this COVID kind of scenario. In one of the refinery I have seen, there were not even enough people to operate the refineries. So the control rooms was made in the township itself, and the monitoring and part of the control we did from the guest house itself. We did the control of the refinery. So this is what I'm saying, journey started where we used to operate physically, and then we have started operating and controlling the plant from around 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers away from the township. So this is the overall the journey, the digitization that has done. Over and above now, if we talk the present challenges, the refineries are, or say oil industry itself, we see, is passing through a very, very transition stage. One is that, of course, what Ronak and Other speakers have also said it is the environmental concern, reduction of the carbon footprints. Another challenge is reduction of the water footprints. And the one and most important is how to maintain the profitability of the refineries, because now the margins are very, very thin. And that has happened because of the oversupply of the products. Not only within the country, rather it can be a global phenomena where there is an oversupply, and that has happened because of the sudden reduction of the demand. So how to maintain the margin while maintaining the carbon footprints, while maintaining the water footprints and other things. So here the digitalization has to play a very, very important role. And so far we have, the oil industry has done very good compared to any other chemical industries. Digitalization, decision making, decision implementation is faster than any other things, but lot of things are yet to be done. Thank you. In the first phase, then we can for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. KK Jain. As you rightly said, you are the torchbearer for the other chemical sectors, be it chemical, gas, as well as pharma, the other sectors that we cater to. And we will come back to you with respect to the AI part in the later part. Thank you, sir. Now I request Mr. Ravi Shankar Jalan, MD GHCL, and he has very aggressive plans on digitalization and digital transformation, and he is very gung-ho about it because he feels that it adds value to all stakeholders. So we would like to listen from Mr. Ravi Shankar Jalanji, his views and his company's focus on digitalization and digital transformation. Over to Mr. Ravi Shankar Jalanji. Sir, if you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yes.
Thank you, Pravinji, and thank you to all the panelists because I think the subject which has been chosen, and like Mr. Jain said, I will be able to relate myself the experience Mr. Jain had, how the industry was 20 years back and how the industry is today. And surely, substantially, I would call it, Ajay, that sustainability is one of the platform which is needed for every industry to be successful on a perpetuity. Our belief is sustainability is required. If you want to be sustained for a perpetuity, sustainability becomes a very, very paramount for you. We have seen in our career many organizations, they have just vanished, and there are many organizations which have just flourished. And I would say that somewhere the importance or role of the sustainability has been noticed on that. When you talk about the environment, you talk about the safety, you talk about the health of the people, you talk of all those things. Everything comes from the system. The word sustainability itself is something where if you want to sustain, you have to take these actions. Like Mr. Jain rightly said, that this journey is a compulsion also for all of us. Now, in terms of our company, we are in the chemical business and almost now 32 years of existence into the chemical business. We particularly take one of the chemical, which is soda ash. And our understanding is that we need to look at from all the angles. One angle is all the stakeholders, like Pravin rightly said, all stakeholders. If you look at the society, can we live without the society? No. And if we have to live with the society, and if the society is one of the stakeholders, we have to make sure that their well-being has been taken care. And there the role of the sustainability also comes. Our own people, every stakeholder, be it our vendors, be it the society, be it our customers, everywhere. Even the customers have started demanding the compliances and the sustainability in your platform. The point what I'm trying to say is sustainability is one of the most key area for the success of an organization. And for that, we have taken this journey around 4 years back in every area. Be it the plant related, we have an aggressive plan of making our plant completely IoT based. And second thing is again very important in this is, when we are talking about sustainability, we are not talking about something we are doing only for the purpose of making us good. No, even this has value to your business. this adds profitability to your business. Like I said, IoT-based solution to our business. We are looking at all the complete plant should be based and controlled. Like Mr. Jain said, that sitting from a guest house, we have been able to manage the plant. So that is the same thing we are working on that. Similarly, on the all our processes, we are looking at sustaining those processes by the digitization. SAP HANA implementation, your employee experience. Same way in the employee's experience, it is very important that you give a good experience to them. Everything can be done online. We have implemented S4 HANA with the James platform of SAP to make sure that they have a flawless and a good experience of everything in what they do, from hire to retire. Either the learning module or all the decision making, everything should be done from the digitization. So my understanding that digitization is the need of the hours. For sustainability, you need to have the digitization, then only. Otherwise, we are going to vanish. And for that, we have understood this, and we are very aggressively pursuing this plan.
We will come back to you with your plans later, Ravi Shankar Jalanji. In the meantime, I would request Mr. V. Srinivas, President IT, the Sanmar Group, to give his views on how are chemical companies focusing on digital transformation and achieving sustainability goals. So if we can focus more on the trends which is happening in this industry, and so we would like to listen from you, sir. Mr. V. Srinivas.
Good evening, Pravin. Good evening to all the panelists, and good evening to audience. Pleasure to be part of this event. So at the outset, I think Sanmar Group, IT is a common service across all the Sanmar companies where we have IT across chemicals, engineering, foundry, and shipping. So what we have done is we have ensured that IT is standardized as a process across all group companies. So even though we've got a diverse group, the objective is to try to ensure that the delivery of the processes happens steadily across different divisions. Now, all these divisions that I talked about have different kinds of processes. We've got discrete, we've got manufacturing. So what happens is when you work with organizations which have got multiple processes, it's very, very important to ensure that you have technologies which help in getting the processes right. Because end of the day, what is important is today we are looking at new technologies, artificial intelligence, for example. We're talking, for example, the existing technology of ERP was there. ERP was a technology of, when it started off in the early 2000s. But today, ERP is a given. But when you want to go forward, you talk of analytics, you talk of predictive analytics, you talk of reactive analytics, you talk of blockchain, you're talking of Industry 4.0, you're talking of many such things. We're talking of digital twins, for example, automation the shop floor. But again, all these technologies require, for example, a lot of bandwidth. So when we talk about bandwidth, we all have graduated from the time when we had 2G. So I still recollect the time when, when we did not have mobile application. To have a mobile application, you needed to have SMS. So way back 8. But today, we've got 4G. But again, as an industry now, 4G again is not prevalent across. Connectivity is a challenge. So you look at the challenges which are there. So all technologies, for example, it could be blockchain, it could be, all these things require connectivity. Today we're talking of connectivity through satellite, which probably will do good. 5G. We're talking of digital twin, which would help in trying to reduce wastage of, simulation in the foundry, for example. we are looking at trying to digitize, for example, to the output. Today we talk of electronic invoicing, for example, because a lot of physical copies moving into electronic formats. So everywhere we're now talking of invoicing. But all these things require, digital transformation. So this, when we talk of digital transformation, what is important is streamlining processes. I think very, very important, so that manual work is eliminated and cultural innovation is there. What is also important is, from a technology standpoint, today ERP needs to also gel with trying to ensure that you have got modern and modular business processes. Today, there are a lot of data silos sitting. You've got multiple applications sitting in the organization, across the organization. The objective is connect all this and try to get data. That's where artificial intelligence comes in, AI. But to do that, again, now within organizations, again, you have got, for example, organizations have programs with custom logic. So if you've got organizations with custom logic, what is required? Then you need to build common data models or composite apps which can work across businesses. So objective is to try to create systems of intelligence, because we need to ensure that the customer experience is improved, productivity is improved, efficiency is improved, resilience is improved. And all this we have seen, for example, during this COVID times, for example, of how technology have really played a role. Virtual collaboration, for example, has been one of the key things. So from a technology standpoint, I think very, very important to look at new technology trends. And as a group, what we do is, we do not straight away jump into new technologies. We take some time, we do some POC, but we adopt a technology only when it is mature. What is important in manufacturing is we do not have the bandwidth to be doing multiple POCs, because it's very, very important to have standards of interoperability for technology, new technologies. That's missing in today's, many of these new technologies. So once it's in place, I think then technology adoption by most of these other companies also goes up. With this, I conclude my few words.
Thank you, Mr. Srinivas ji. I think that's a valid point where you talked about standards of interoperability. What we are understanding from 4G as well as 5G vendors is they are talking about 4G factory, or now they are also talking about 5G factory, where the bandwidth issue is being taken care, and the service providers, along with the system integrators, along with what we can say solution providers, come together and give you a solution which can do the automation part as well as also take care of the IT as well as the OT part at the same time. Thank you, sir. We will come back to you with the next set of questions in the next round. Now I would request Mr. Naveen Sodhiya. He's the head IT and digital Rallis India. Tata Group practices sustainability in a very big way. So I would request Naveen ji if he can talk about the digital transformation projects which his company has undertaken and how has this benefited Rallis India. So over to Mr. Naveen Sodhiya.
Thanks, Pravin. Thanks for the opportunity. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible, sir. Please go ahead.
Great. So in the current context, if you look at it, sustainability, as you talked about, after hearing everybody, it's no longer really a compliance parameters to look at it. It's actually a differentiator. It's actually a business approach for creating long-term value by taking into a consideration impact organization really has on environmental parameters, social parameters, economic parameters. So it's a value creator. It's a different way to look at it. From a value creation standpoint, and organizations are looking at to make a difference on that. So from that standpoint, and I can probably say, being part of Tata organization, this is something which we kind of practice as part of our every single operations, every single plan, whatever we put up, we really make sure that how are we really executing it, and not just from a While we talk about a particular plant operations or from a particular section of the organization, however, when we look at a cross value chain, because digital is something which is impacting organization wide. It really has an impact on every single stakeholder, not just from a internal stakeholder standpoint, but also from the external stakeholder standpoint. So we really have looked at it across the value chain, how these initiatives can really bring value and create a difference, and especially from a sustainability angle standpoint also. Now, if you really look at it, Rallis is an agrochemical company. We have a pan-India operation, we have pan-India presence, and the kind of products which we deal in, have direct impact on not just as in customers and for the farmers, or we have an impact which will really have a sustainability issues and challenges if we really do not control things properly, and a larger population in the country also. So we have really looked at the technology solution, and we really have embarked on those technology solutions which can really help us improve on the overall utilization of these products and services. We have made sure that we really use and leverage technology to impact the end consumers, the farmers who are really on the ground, really applying our products and using our products and services. We are really reaching out to them in a more innovative ways and providing them what we call it as a predictive analytics solution, wherein they are able to optimize the inputs what they provide for the crop production. So all of those aspects are being done in a complete digital fashion. It was being done earlier in a more manual manner, which really required a larger footprint across the organization, across pan-India. However, we have really optimized it, made sure that we are able to give them much more accurate information using latest technologies from a big data analytics standpoint, technologies like spectral analytics, and we are able to leverage all sort of communication platform. We really have seen it that even in the COVID era, it has really helped us in a big way. We have been able to connect with our customers very efficiently, very effectively, and being able to create a difference. So this has not really impacted this entire lockdown scenario. Everything has not really slowed down anything. And this is the impact of the technology which we have brought to the table, and in order to make sure that every stakeholder in the organization is equipped with the right set of tools and technologies and are able to effectively work it out. Now, if we really have to talk about from a value chain standpoint, we talked about the customers, connecting with customers, giving them the right set of information, looking at the our sales and marketing team, making sure that they have the right platforms to for the enablement and reaching out to the customers. If you look at it from the manufacturing standpoint, really looking at to make sure that we are using innovative ways from a automation standpoint, that how do we kind of reduce our actual physical footprint and are able to kind of control those processes, automate those manual processes. We talked about the OT technologies, with the introduction of IoTs and different types of sensors and different technologies, where make sure that there's sufficient level of automation exists, that we are able to kind of improve overall productivity. So we have gone holistically across. That includes our R&D, that includes our production. Being a seed company, we have mechanisms to really not really have a physical footprint to monitor thousands and thousands of acres of production farms. We use technology to be able to monitor all of that, and we are able to identify remotely sitting, from a remote location using satellite imageries, which farms are actually under a stress category, which really requires an attention from a irrigation standpoint, where we have a problem with respect to NPK values. So how do we optimize all of it is something that has really been done as part of our technology initiatives. Now coming on to the internal employees part of it, just to add a few, where we all are working from home, the enablement from a work from anywhere point of view has really made sure that nobody gets impacted, and organization as a whole, we are able to work efficiently to make sure that we deliver our products and services. So these are the initiatives which have been done in the current context. As I said, we are currently on a very ambitious digital transformation journey across Rallis and Tata Chemicals as an organization. We are kind of looking at how do we optimize and automate all sort of manual processes to ensure that we are able to efficiently work as an organization, and we have a harmonization across the organization. As a global organization, we are making sure that we do not really have a duplications, redundancies. We are kind of optimizing all of that. Given the fact that IT is increasing so much, it should not really happen that IT starts adding to the carbon footprint. We have gone ahead and made sure that we leverage IT in such a way that we are able to reduce the further carbon footprint. We have gone away from conventional data center based technology solutions. We have gone to the cloud. We have adopted to the cloud solutions, the SaaS platforms. We're using all of these services on a more shared setup and a more virtualized environment. So holistically, we have taken a view across the organization. What are the places where we can cut down, and what are the places we can optimize and work as an efficient organization? So that's all from my side right now. Happy to answer any further questions.
Thank you, Naveen, for your insight. Before I move to Samir, let me take a quiz break and let me have two set of questions. I would request all delegates to please answer the answers on the chat window. So if you are ready, my next set of two questions is, name optimization solution mentioned during AVEVA's presentation. Name optimization solution mentioned during AVEVA's presentation. And the second question is, what is the necessary process to successfully convert technology tools to usable solutions? I repeat, what is the necessary process to successfully convert technology tools to usable solutions? This was in Ingenero presentation. So we are through with the quiz questions, and at around 4 o'clock, I will announce the bumper, the question. So now I request Mr. Samir Dhaga, President and CIO, Pi Industries. Samir, your company has done digital transformation successfully, and you are reaping the benefits through Golden Batch project that you talk about. So let us hear from the person itself who has executed it, and the technologies that they have gone for is artificial intelligence, machine learning, and sensor technologies. So over to Mr. Samir Dhaga.
Thank you very much, Pravin, for having me over, and good evening to everybody, all the panelists and the audience members. Really a pleasure to be here. So yes, today we heard all the panelists speaking, and we heard about various kinds of digital technologies and footprints available and tools available. Closer to home, I mean, we hit the ground when we decided that we need to do something in order to bring in more efficiencies. And I will kind of agree with Naveen Sodhiya's statement saying that sustainability is actually some kind of a business model. If you look at sustainability, you kind of achieving some baseline, bottom line business objectives. And either you look at it from the sustainability perspective and do digital transformation, or you look at it from the digital transformation perspective, and that will result in sustainability. Now, I believe that a well-executed digital transformation program will definitely result in great sustainability related benefits. And so when we embarked on this journey, we were looking at Industry 4.0, MES execution of manufacturing execution systems, including IoT. So we had at one of our manufacturing facilities all our plants which are DCS based. And like one of the panelists mentioned, DCS generates a huge and humongous amount of data. Most of the data is used in controlling and managing the plant operations as such, but very rarely do we use a lot of the data for other purposes. The idea behind selecting a component of MES and driving that down to the plants was to look at this data and do a deep dive on it, put a layer of machine learning and AI, and see if we are able to get predictive analytics while a batch is running in order to improve the quality of the batch. So let me explain the statement. So if you look at chemical manufacturing, I think we all are from the chemistry background, chemical background. We all know it's process industry. It may take days, weeks to make a particular chemical, goes through multiple stages and multiple batches. And often the plant operations guys would say, look here, I did exactly the same process, which I've been running for so many years. But sometimes I get a quality of X percentage, 99.9, sometimes I get a 97, sometimes I get a 95, and there's no change. Everything else remains the same. And if you look at the various parameters that the process goes through, there are agitators, there are reactors, there's various kinds of devices in the plant which goes through operations, the temperatures going up, temperatures going down, pressures, etc. And you have all these DCS systems that generate this kind of data. So the idea behind the Golden Batch project was to get all this data from a historical perspective and look at this data and look at how and which of the processes and operations resulted in a kind of an ideal batch. And that's why you call it the Golden Batch. The Golden Batch was the batch that we saw historically was a great batch, maybe repeated once or twice. And we also have all the data for all the 20, 21, 30, 40 stages of production, including granular data related to temperatures, spins, and pressures, etc., etc. So what the system really does is it picks up all this data. There's a layer of AI and ML running on top of it using statistical algorithms. So it's very close to a concept called statistical quality control. And in statistical quality control, you're actually looking at correlation-based data to manage your current process and bring it as close as possible to the ideal process. The advantage that you get today with AI and ML is that you can predictively kind of find out relationships between various parameters which are otherwise humanly impossible. So you look at hundreds and thousands of data points and how are they related to each other. If one changes, what is the relationship in a next batch, next stage at another place, and what will it actually alter? There's no physical formula that you can really work out. But when you use predictive learning and machine learning, it uses some kind of statistical regression technologies at the back end to derive a relationship between all these parameters. And therefore, what you get is, while your process is on, you have the ability to do a deep dive on the data and look at how your process is with respect to the ideal process that would have resulted in great, if you're targeting yield, if you're targeting cycle time, targeting batch time, quality, whatever. And it's able to kind of tell you whether you're on the right lines, if not predictively tell you what are the key parameters that can be altered currently or in the future, in the next batch, the next stage, so that it gets back on track to becoming closely correlated and as close to the golden batch as possible. So it was an ambitious project when we embarked on it about a year and a half and 2 years back. And I'm happy to report that we tried it on one plant first. We're rolling it out across all plants. The project, I would say, has very well paid for itself. And there is a significant improvement, I would say, in percentage points in the yield and the cycle time. Both are kind of correlated. A better cycle time is a better yield, of course. And then that brings me to sustainability. So while the initial aims of the project were more around improving plant efficiencies and plant operations, and they were around bringing in cycle time, improving quality, etc. But if you look at the spin-off is that in lesser cycle time you're producing the same stuff, better quality. And what that really means is that you're actually achieving some kind of sustainability goals, because your energy consumption is accordingly gone down, and across multiple batches. Not only are you saving precious hours in batch time, saving in yields, and running into a significant amount of money, and you're also actually utilizing energy more efficiently. You're getting lesser wastage because you have better quality, consuming less electricity, less effluent and carbon discharges. So at the end of the day, the digital transformation that we achieved by implementing the Golden Batch project is actually directly related to improving sustainability and getting closer to our sustainability goals. So I would say that implementing a good digital transformation program has direct and indirect benefits to sustainability. So thank you very much. That's all.
I will come back to you with your other programs and the future plans as such.
Sure. Thank you.
Now I request Deepak Keni, EVP Special Projects and Enablers, DFPCL. So if he can talk about if we can give a deep dive on what are the challenges in terms of implementation part of it, because everybody talks about energy efficiency, production benefits, and other things, but I would like to know from him the operational challenges which the company faces, or he himself would have an experience about it, and how it needs to be eliminated. So over to Mr. Deepak Keni.
Yes. Thank you, Pravin, and thank you, ICN and the esteemed panelists. Glad to be part of here. I think a lot of information was shared about sustainability and digital transformation, right? And there are a lot of common themes. So I won't repeat some of the things which we are doing in our company essentially, because a lot of that was covered. But as Pravin mentioned, sustainability, making sustainability sustainable. Sorry for the pun of words, but how do we actually go about ensuring that whatever changes we put, whether it is transformation, I think process changes, I heard cultural aspects of that, how to make that so that the adoption is easier. And I mean, I believe a lot of these technologies and investments and change require a gestation period where we ensure that the organization really adopts all that from that perspective. So in our company, the change management aspects of that, which I will take up an example and kind of try to highlight, right? And from that perspective. So when we look at one of the projects which we are looking from one of our plants, manufacturing plants, in terms of ammonia, as mentioned, energy consumption biggest challenges, right? So the energy consumption to the tune of gigacalories, as they say. So we embarked on a project to look at optimization of that through using digital technologies. So the concept of obviously digital twin comes into picture, and the digital twin aspect is something which is well known, and obviously a lot of you mentioned that. But when I look at our company and in case of setting up the process to implement that, I think that journey was quite challenging, because Mr. K.K. Jain mentioned about DCS systems in 80s, and to some extent we still have places where we don't have DCS systems, right? So the challenge of right from that ground level to start collecting the data, because the digital twin essentially is a simulation of all the processes, the equipment, and things like that. So starting collecting the data, getting the processes in place to collection of data, some through sensors, some through automated technologies, but then there is also a manual component when we initially set up that, where all the processes need to get aligned. And from that perspective, it's not easy to plug and play that. All the digital technology, you can plug and play that. So the process of implementation is quite challenging, as you all know. And it might take 3 months, 6 months, even 1 year for projects to get implemented. And after implementation, the challenge of sustainability, because the promise of the sustainability in terms of the technologies, for example, the projections was that in the business case, the energy savings could be of the tune of 10 to 20%. So it's significant when we talk about gigacalories, right? But the catch or the caveat is it is the process that you achieve that maturity level, 10-20% savings over a period of a year or 2 years, right? So the implementation cycle is long enough. And how do we ensure that we get sustainable in that sense? So one of the things I did hear a few things about elimination of processes, manual processes, and putting certain locks in place where there is no other alternative, right? And it is the readings which come directly from the DCS or through the system are then used for kind of calculations or baselining, and the actions which need to be taken up for in terms of the processes which need to get changed, so that the right process parameters can be changed. Because the energy savings to the digital twin only come when the process is kind of essentially changed and the right alerts come from the system. The system, the twin can predict, saying that there is a possibility of a failure which might happen because this equipment was not maintained. So predictability in terms of preventive maintenance, reliability of the plant, right? So the hygiene of doing all the manual processes, ensuring the data gets captured. If it's in automated fashion, good enough. If not, semi-automated, or data getting entered in the system. And then the alerts or the system kind of telling the manual operators or the engineers to start making some changes in the processes or type of. That is something where the challenge comes, right? Because a lot of the times the engineers have knowledge, their own kind of intrinsic knowledge, and a system being able to tell, saying that this is how you should go ahead and change the process. There is I would say a significant resistance, as we say, resistance to change which happens. So I believe the challenge we had from a resistance to change, the adoption, is something which is significant enough. And I think the only way, or one of the ways to do that is ensure that there is coexistence for some time. I mean, the digital twin and the traditional way coexist for some time till you can show that significantly what the engineer would take as a process change is something which the digital twin or the system will kind of throw off as alerts or predictions. And then once that that conviction is there, then it's a matter of switching the flipping the switch forward to directly to the technology, right? And I think this is something which is a significant aspect of all these technologies. And I heard from digital implementation, change management, and an ever-evolving story, right? So I will, in the interest of time, cut short, and hopefully Pravin can come back on anything other specifics.
Thank you, Deepak Keni, for illustrating the implementation challenges beautifully. Now I would request Ritwik Rath, Chief General Manager, IS Strategy, HPCL. So would like to learn from Mr. Ritwik Rath how is increasing its productivity and efficiency through digital transformation and also helping in terms of sustainability at the same time. So 3 to 4 minutes for Mr. Ritwik Rath. Over to
Thank you, Mr. Pravin. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
I thought I'll not ask this, but I could not resist the fun because
you have a very beautiful background, sir. You have a very beautiful background.
Thank you. Thank you. So basically, I think it is one of the most cliched terms, which is followed by digital transformation, in order followed by sustainability, if I may say so. Okay, so if I come back to the very specific outcome of the impact of digital transformation on productivity, I would like to deviate a bit and add the sustainability to it. I heard some speakers before me talk about productivity and sustainability as two separate tracks. But if I look at my experience and the team's experience in managing the digital transformation, I think all these three merge somewhere. And if you look at the oil industry today, I'm sure Mr. Jain has taken us through the journey of from DCS systems to today and the challenges that we are facing. But if you look at current challenges, I can add my 2 bits or bytes to it. We also have a challenge of investor sentiments. We have another challenge of the usage or the behavior of the consumers changing over a period. And third is that of the lobbyists, the policies, the law of the land, which is also changing. So that is where we need to ensure that our growth is sustainable. And when I looked at our company's sustainable policy also, it talks about amalgamating the principles of sustainability into our growth model. So when we ventured into a digital transformation program, and we had a structured program which ran for almost a year across various segments in the value chain, what we realized is there are opportunities above. So what I'll talk about is what are the opportunities that we saw and some of the challenges and the learnings from there. Okay, so if I can come back to this, if you look at our industry, like most of the industries elsewhere as well, it's about 3 factors, which is plants, processes, and people. And when we looked at digital transformation or the leveraging of the technologies, it actually allowed us to implement or leverage these in all the 3 facets. That is both in plants, in processes, and the people. So when I talk about people, both our employee, the workforce, the business partners that we have got, and also the public at large who are consumers and who we run the business for. And so what are the learnings of this? So in the interest of time, if I can summarize into a few points, which are my takeaways from this whole journey. The first thing is that I think we need to look at the business problem holistically, because this is, to quote a colleague of mine, changing a tire in a running car. Okay, the industries have all grown over the years, and what we are trying to do here is through digital transformation is to change or significantly alter the way some of the business processes are conducted, some of the systems that are there in place. So that is why it has to be looked into holistically and then look at solutions thereof. Because what happens over a period that we get enamored with the technology tools and the solutions that are available to us and try to force fit them into a business processes. So this is one which was a big learning from me. The second part is like, I also heard a few panelists talk about it, and Dr. Nair also alluded to a huge amount of data. And if you look at oil industry specifically, we had automation happening over last 35 to 40 years. And unlike some of the other industries, we didn't have a challenge of getting the systems in place, putting up sensors, having the data. But unfortunately, what happened is either the data was localized or the data was typically archived. So today our approach is that how do we look at synergizing this data? And that is where digitalization gives us a huge amount of opportunity. That is, how do we synthesize data? How do you see a common value which is accruing out of that? And that is another major learning which I would say out of the digital transformation exercise. The other one is, I think one area which actually digitalization also has helped address is blurring the boundary between the operational technology areas and the traditional IT. I think this was one area which all of us used to contend with over last maybe 10, 15 years, where getting into one area and then trying to integrate that with the major corporate systems and getting insights out of that was a challenge. I think digitalization and vendors like AVEVA, Ingenero and others have definitely helped in getting the integration in place. So there is a lot of synergy in this. But I also heard about a 50 trillion investment on net zero. Okay, so where does this 50 trillion net zero comes in? Sorry, 50 trillion investment comes in. So there is also a pie in that of ours. And if you look at that, our profitability, our profitability in the whole thing is definitely shrinking over the years. So unless we have digital transformation addressing the needs of increasing the productivity and also improving the sustainability, I think it will be a major challenge in being absolute net zero.
Ritwik sir, I wanted to ask you one very pertinent question is,
yes, please.
If you go for digitalization or digital transformation, do you see an increase in profitability also? Because if whatever profit that you are doing right now, if your profit get increased by 1.2x, 1.3x, then definitely it makes sense. So your experience, what does it say?
So if you look at the traditional way, what has been done is it has either been automation or looking at process changes.
Mm-hmm.
And with due respect to the people who have preceded the digitalization era, I think they have tried to take every bit of juice out of these investments. So where do you get the next level of value? So this is where the digitalization comes in. And if you look at these, I remember quite a few years ago reading a story about some CIA investigation, and the then director talked about listening to something, and I think in his congressional hearing he said that since technology allows us, we record every bit of data. Mm-hmm. But hearing is still human. And if we take a parlance to oil industry, I think we had a lot of areas where a lot of data was getting generated. But how do you create value out of that?
That's more important.
All the three areas of people, of processes, as well as the plants. In all the three areas, digitalization obviously helps improve productivity.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not getting into
it. Thank you, sir. Ronak, you have heard almost all the speakers. And so what is your solutions or steps that you would suggest based on their challenges, based on their experience? What is that you have to offer to them? Over to Ronak.
Thanks, Pravin. Thanks for this insightful question, I think. And when I heard all the panelists, I heard specifically Mr. KK Jain, when we started from DCS to now the advanced technologies where we are actually controlling things from remotely. We heard Ravi Shankar ji talking about customer demanding the compliance for sustainability. We also heard about IoT solutions there. We heard Srinivas ji talking about multiple different processes being managed and so many different technologies coming in. But it was definitely a challenge to go through that particular technology implementation, I would say. And Samir Dhaga ji and Deepak ji also talked about a particular case implementation and how actually drove productivity and sustainability together. But there were definitely some challenges within the implementation of digitization. And
Ronak, you are not audible. Hello. You are not.
Sorry. Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible now. Why don't you switch off your video and just play the audio part?
Sure.
Because I think there is a bandwidth issue. So please go ahead.
Sure. And as Ritwik ji also mentioned, there is definitely a technology play on plant process and people to improve the productivity and sustainability. So I think if you talk about AVEVA to offer in terms of how we can help address those particular challenges, we have all the digital solutions, which is about predictive analytics, as Naveen ji was also mentioning, and Samir Dhaga ji was also mentioning. We have solution for value chain optimization, but let me step back and also talk about how we are addressing sustainability in chemical industry. While I think the sustainability is also being invested in going into different areas apart from the chemical industry. So we heard that there is an energy optimization which is possible. And which is actually being done. There are so much of process optimization which is actually being done. But there, I think, would be investment which also would need to be done in areas like nuclear, like wind, like solar, to actually go towards net zero, right? So yes, definitely there is something which we have to offer, and which we can help all our customers in energy optimization, energy efficiency, and that's where value chain optimization comes in, where value chain optimization can help model and digitize all the processes within the chemical industry and help in optimizing it in such a way that it brings in sustainability, because you're talking about CO2 carbon emission in there, as well as bringing profitability. So what I hear from the panelist is that yes, sustainability is important, but profitability is also equally important for all of us, right? And hence the optimization is one of the major solutions which brings in both of them together, because you can have an objective function with this digitalization, which optimizes the carbon, which is greenhouse or the carbon credits which the industry buys, as well as the profitability together, right? And AVEVA brings in that particular solution. We have brought in that particular solution to multiple of our customers as well. And we did talk about one of the case study, which was Neste. We have both case studies. We have helped Henkel. We have helped New Serer to bring in the sustainability to the market, and we have brought value to both of them in both the terms, as I said, profitability and sustainability.
Thanks, Ronak. Before I come to Pratap Nair, let me ask the bumper question for today, and I would request please type your answers in the chat window. This is a subjective question. The question is, and this is only one question, so you will not have other questions. So please listen to me carefully. what are the 5 main pillars of the digital transformation strategy to be successful? What are the 5 main pillars of the digital transformation strategy to be successful? I request all the delegates to please type all the 5 pillars of digital transformation strategy to be successful. The best 3 will be given to our speakers. They will identify and let us know. And depending upon, say, whatever numbers that they get, we will announce the winners today itself. Thank you. So in the meantime, the delegates are typing their answers. I would request Mr. Pratap Nair. There is an overload of data, Pratap, and so how do you make this data meaningful? That is more important. So over to Mr. Pratap Nair.
Very good question, Pravin. Yes, absolutely. As Mr. KK Jain and Ritwik and all were mentioning, availability of data in our industry, all this, what I call the systems were digitized, through the 80s, 90s, and we had that data. So it was really how that data is being utilized. That's the key. And yes, the data has been utilized to some extent, to the extent possible, using things like simulation, various kinds of analytics, but a lot of it was manually done. Having said that, just to shed some light, on our experience, we've since 2001 as a company, Ingenero has been really doing remote tracking and remote analytics for companies halfway across the globe. We've worked with a lot of companies in the US, Middle East, and so on, through a center sitting in Mumbai. So when people talk of IoT, and I like to call it Internet of People, because it's data being made available to people anywhere, which today is, has become very useful, in the pandemic situation. So we've been doing that for the last 2 decades. So essentially, it's taking the data, doing a lot of the analytics, which utilizes, there's a lot of knowledge that has been built up in this field of chemical engineering, first principles. And then how do you use the data? There's a lot of data analytics, statistical tools today. That's evolved into what people call machine learning and artificial intelligence and so on. And so that's what we were really using. And so as a result, that's how we really even got into this whole digitalization space. A lot of our customers started coming to us and wanted us to get involved, as they got down this path of doing digitalization. So the whole idea there is what has changed in the last decade or 2 decades. It's the computation power, the connectivity, the speed of connectivity, and the cost of storing data, cost of using data, so on. Those have vastly improved. And so a lot of things that we had to jump through hoops maybe in 2001, 2002 to do this kind of work, today is perhaps a lot simpler. And so that's really what caused this whole digitalization boom, if you will. So there are a lot of things that are possible. For example, Samir mentioned about the golden batch, that's in batch processing. So one of the solutions we have, which we've deployed with several of our customers, equivalent in the continuous business space, the continuous processing, is what we call dynamic benchmarking. So at any point in time, the operator is able to see, okay, these are my conditions, this is how I'm operating. Somewhere in the past, for equivalent conditions, I've operated much better. And then why have I operated better? Is it because of some asset conditions, or are there some knobs that I can turn to make that better? So that is given almost in real time. And so that's again made possible because of how you can use the streaming data, do the online analytics, the computational power has helped. And so that's typical example of digitalization. So this kind of how we've been using data to make it a lot more useful. At the end of the day, there has to be augmented intelligence that has to be provided to the people who are, whether it's the managers or the operators or anywhere in the system, whether it's to make better decisions to improve operations. So that's essentially what the whole plays. And, you know, that's where we were saying advanced analytics is so important. We got involved with one of the companies, one of the largest midstream companies, who's today considered a lighthouse company in, you know, in this whole area of digitalization. I met with the CEO, this was around 2014, and he was saying, you know, we've done a lot of what people, you know, connected things up. We have collaborative software, we have business intelligence software, but Pratap, I'm still not getting any value from it. What was happening was, yes, there's raw data being fed. You had pretty pictures, but like I was talking about earlier, using that raw data could be vastly misleading, and that's where things like the ML, AI, synthesizing data, finding out errors in the data, making sure you're coming up with something. If there's a prediction, whether it's a reliability prediction or a prediction to do something better, if you have false positives or false negatives, that's it. You know, it's the people issue. They will immediately turn it off, and the credibility of the system goes down. So it's very important to take care of all that, which is where the whole advanced analytics and application comes.
Pratap, I just needed a very brief answer from you. In terms of the data that you get and the modeling that you do, how easy or difficult it is to come up with a solution which helps your clients? So very brief answer, 30 seconds, sir.
Sure. Very good question again. And that's where we believe that you have to start from the back. What is the use case going to be? Any company we have to work very closely with that company, they will know these are my pain points. This is where I can improve. And then it's how do you utilize the technologies? How do you connect all this to use the data to address their use case? That is the key, is what we have learned from our whole run in this space.
Thank you, Dr. Nair, for your views. Ronak, just briefly, I would ask you, we talk about sustainability, but how has your organization benefited from this? If you can briefly touch and talk about a minute on how your company has done this.
Sure, Pravin. So
because it's easy to advise than to practice. So that's the reason I'm asking you.
Absolutely. So I think there are so many different steps which organization like us can do. We are definitely helping our customers directly by having our solutions, helping them minimize the energy and minimize the carbon emission. But if you ask about the specific steps which we have taken, we have a sustainability chief sustainability officer, and there are specific steps which has been taken by our organization. There was a sustainability customer advisory board which was made with leading sustainability experts coming up from multiple organizations like Covestro, Henkel, Eastman, Equinor, KBR, and they shared their priorities and discussed the challenges. We have a AVEVA forest online, which is a digital forest, and we are all helping to actually plant many trees and also monitor in our digital forest what is the status of those particular forests. And as AVEVA grows, our responsibility to ourselves, our customers, and our community grows along with it. So we are taking more and more ideas from our employees, from all of us, to make this particular sustainability goals as close as possible.
Thanks, Ronak, for what we can say short what we can say answer. Ritwik ji, if you can throw some light on what are the future technologies that you are utilizing or would be utilizing in HPCL, which would be beneficial for the company as well as for the safety and environment. Briefly, sir.
So So we have already talked about data and analytics, so I'll not get into that. However, if you want to really improve the monsoon, effectively, if you look at the sustainability, what does it encompasses?
So we want to know, sir, we want to know what are the new things that you plan to do in 2021.
21, what we plan to do is, first of all, have an integrated view of various systems. So today we have those in silos. So integrating them to give us a common insight is something that we would like to focus on. The second is we would like to integrate various cogs in our supply chain as well. Okay, so today we have them in different buckets. Like we have well automated refineries. We want to take them to the refinery 4.0 levels. We have terminals. We have converted some of them into smart terminals where all the processes and the equipments are all connected, which also takes us right to our delivery points, that is our retail outlets and other customer touch points. So we want to leverage various solutions that are available, like the IoT ones, like the robotics. So wherever we can automate our processes and have end-to-end connectivity and integration of all these systems. So these two would be the major challenges that I see and major implementation opportunity coming in 2021.
Thank you, sir. Deepak, Keni, if you can talk about some of the new things that you plan to deploy on the digitization as well as on sustainability part in 2021. We are very close to end of 2020. That's the reason I'm asking you this. So over to Mr. Deepak, Keni.
Thank you. So quickly, I know interest of time, I'll just give the highlights. So what we are planning in 2021 is on the safety and security side, trying to implement various technologies, wearable technologies at the plant, even as we call as geofencing, to prevent people from not entering the hazardous areas, right? So geofencing, wearable technologies. On the supply chain, I heard integrated supply chain. We are also keen to look at reducing the footprint from a fleet or network optimization. So ensuring that our total distribution cost is optimized and correspondingly the fuel cost, which is required to supply our products to the end consumer, is through smart technology and big data, looking at network optimization through all the data points, and also looking at warehouse optimization. And then from an integrated supply chain management, I think end-to-end supply chain integration is one of the key points. I think these are the 3-4 key areas for 2021. Which we are focusing on.
Deepak, Keni, one more question to you, sir. We are seeing a lot of drone attacks, and that is causing a lot of concern. And I think Aramco was one example. So are you looking at some anti-drone technology to make geofencing so that your factory does not get attacked? So a very quick answer to that, sir. Because DGCA is working
absolutely.
on...
I think...
DGCA is working on those, what we can say, guidelines. So just very soon we will see the anti-drone also coming into picture. So I was asking you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Geofencing. So the key is your perimeter is geofenced so that any of these drones and anti-drone technology work in that area. So we are ensuring that that also takes into account.
Thank you, sir. I think Sushil has sent the answers to all the panelists, all the 3 probable winners. So out of that, please give your numbers to it so that we can do the back-end calculation and announce the bumper winner after this event. I think it is there in your chat window, so you can have a look, all the speakers. Samir ji, your future plans, you have done pretty well for last 2 years, 3 years that you have been doing on the digital transformation part. What is it in future from your company to us, which is the society, or to the stakeholders in terms of sustainability? Briefly, sir.
Yeah. So what we're looking at is a new initiative that we embarked on called the Empower platform for agri side of the business. This is an integrated platform that kind of dovetails all the activities related to the agri agrochemical sales business, the sales and distribution business on the ground. Basically, the integrated platform kind of deals with activities related to field officers, market development officers, and the entire sales chain. It encompasses the distributors, the retailers, etc., so that they're able to all their related activities via the portal and the application. It has a slew of mobile applications that enable all this. It also kind of dovetails in the ability of tracking and tracing, which is kind of individual SKU-wise QR coding in every single product that allows us to give loyalty to our channel partners and farmers. Now, while all that happens, what it does from a sustainability perspective, the interest of being brief, is that it kind of brings in efficiencies and productivity with the sales force, so that rather than doing a thing in an unoptimized, non-productive way and spending a lot of time, money, energy, resulting in a lot of carbon footprint also because you're traveling all over without a proper plan, this regulates that entire activity and I think brings in a more optimal utilization of the manpower and productive hours, and accordingly reduce movement, etc., and therefore a better carbon footprint. What it also does is, if you look at the concept of track and trace, it's your supply chain management and warehouse management automation, which allows you to track your inventory. So classically, we have visibility up to the, for example, the distributor level. When we talk specifically on the ground through our ERP systems, we've gone ahead and built in functionality that allows us to look at retailers at the second level of the channel, as well as the farmers, and also the entire movement of inventory that happens with the help of scanning the QR codes, etc. So what a great benefit that reaps is that you're able to actually look at your inventory as it moves from your factory warehouses to the depots, between the depots, at the points of distribution and channel, which allows you to see how much inventory is with the channel. The loyalty that we give impacts our ability to look at the inventory as it gets consumed. So we also know in real time the inventorization at various distribution and points and large retailers as well as small retailers. What that lets us do is fine-tune our inventory management. And the direct outcome of these two things which impact sustainability are that because of better inventory management, you don't need to overproduce stuff and don't have an overhang of inventory with you. The capital cost that is blocked because of inventorization is saved. But from a sustainability perspective, you're saving on that kind of carbon footprint because you're not producing more than what is required the given cycle of sales. The other very important thing that comes out in the world of chemicals is that when you look at agrochemicals, there are expiry dates. Expired material is a double whammy from a sustainability perspective. One is when it expires and comes back to your factory for disposal, the carbon footprint that you already created, lost because you created that material is gone. One is that. And the other is when you bring it back and dispose it off using whatever means the government has said, whether it's incineration or whether it's any other means of disposal, you're recreating a carbon footprint again. So it's a double whammy from a sustainability perspective. What this also does is, because of your improved inventory management, it also kind of takes that aspect into control and therefore helps achieve your sustainability targets. So we continue to kind of work on this part. It's a 3-year transformation project. We are in the second year now, running second year. Successfully launched applications for the channel, successfully launched applications to Salesforce. Already 3 of our products are SKU level QR coded. Loyalty has been given this year. So a lot of things are happening. And hopefully by the end of next year, there'll be a lot of stability in the goals that we wanted to achieve. We're already there and we look forward to kind of achieving more of those. So that's it from my side on the initiatives that we're taking currently.
Samirji, next time when I call you, I would like to know the number in terms of the savings that you have done with the complete digitization that you have done. One brief answer that I need from you, say 2 to 3 sentences or whatever. You are also working on R&D using artificial intelligence, machine learning, and 3D modeling. So briefly, if you can talk about what are you doing, and also 3D molecular modeling. So briefly, how will this benefit pie industries?
So cutting edge technologies which use AI/ML at the background, including things like 3D molecular modeling, etc. There are a number of things that they do. They cut down the cycle time that is required in terms of discovery and allow us to kind of quickly reach our R&D goals as soon as possible. The other thing that they do is because the huge compute power available today, For example, in the AWS, you can scale up compute to kind of, if you need more processing to do a particular AI-dependent task, AWS kind of allows you to, kind of amplify that workload for a short period of time, and you meet your goal, and then you get on with the normal load. So those kind of things allow you to actually shorten the cycle time as far as your R&D development work is concerned, and to reach your R&D objectives. What it also does in terms of the design phase itself is that when you look at what you're making, whether it's R&D from a scale-up perspective or a process transfer perspective or at the kilo pilot plants, it also allows the scientists and people who are working on these molecules to kind of look at it from a more sustainable perspective, which means the various permutations and combinations that you need to get from the system are available to you faster, and you can plan for a green molecule rather than hope that you'll get a green molecule.
Thank you, sir, for your very lucid perspective on different aspects and how you have been utilizing it. Now I would request Naveen Sodhiya ji, if he can talk about what are the future activities that you are going to focus. So say 1 or 2 minutes on future activities that Rallis is planning in 2021.
So Pravin, from a technology roadmap standpoint, we are going to continue our focus on customer-centric initiatives. We really plan to make sure that our customers are well served with our technology solutions. We have a pan-India presence, as I talked about. So our farmer-centric initiatives in terms of being able to help them better with the technology initiatives is something which is going to be focused. We are also looking at an inward in terms of our overall plant automation. So, basically smart factory setup, or, our brownfield factories to be completely automated with new age technology solutions and doing golden batch analytics in terms of overall, productivity improvements and efficiency improvements is something which is going to be a focus area. The other thing we are looking at in terms of big, solutions are as an overall big data analytics. Overall analytics is something which is going to be focused. And again, extending those solutions to the R&D is something which is on cards. So I would say from a holistic viewpoint of view, automation, paperless offices, and customer-centric initiatives is what we would be taking the stage for 2021 is what we are focusing and targeting on right now.
Thank you, Naveen Sodhiya ji. Mr. V. Srinivas ji, if you can talk about in 2021, what are the hot trends in terms of digitization and sustainability, sir? Over to Mr. V. Srinivas ji. Mr. V. Srinivas ji?
Sorry, I was on mute. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Sir, I wanted to know what are the hot things that you see will happen in 2021 with respect to sustainability and digital transformation? In 1 or 2 minutes, sir.
Yeah, the key is more of cloud services adoption. Because due to this COVID, the need for business continuity has become a criteria, and cost optimization has become a criteria. So I think adoption of cloud has become one of the key factors today, because what has happened is cloud has ensured that there's better business resilience. It's helped in business continuity, and also ensuring that enterprise has access, for example, to compute. I mean, if you're looking at technology like AI, ML, there's no point in trying to build all this internally. You can do this on the cloud. Like Samir or some other speakers talked of. Try to do this on the cloud. So I think cloud is the future over the next 2 years, because today cloud has standardized and has really matured. However, Industry 4.0 has still some long way to go.
Why is it, sir, Industry 4.0 has a long way to go? So if you can be more specific, is it because of standardization? Is it because of interoperability? Is it because of not specific solutions to the chemical industry? So if you can be more specific, I think the industry can come and work together and see that they can hasten the process or fasten the process and see that it can be deployed as quickly as possible, if we are looking at chemical industry to be the torchbearer for the world.
So we generally look at Industry 4.0 POCs. Today, you would find all these POCs happening across, different sectors, and it's all, silos. For example, even the largest company, GE, which has got its own operating system. Today, there's no standardization or interoperability of systems to talk across all systems which talk about in 4.0. The key is until we develop interoperable standards, Industry 4.0 is not going to work. Second is, Industry 4.0 also has a challenge, especially for countries like India, where there is abundance of people. Automation is also not going to be the key. So that's where Industry 5.0 comes in, where it is actually a combination of having automation while keeping the people also in place. Because Industry 4.0, one of the key things was automate and try to have less of manpower. But I think that's not the way forward, at least for a country like India. That's the other challenge. So what is important is connectivity, the other thing that I talked about. Today, the technologies, for example, we talk of 4G. It's all available in Tier 1, Tier 2 cities. But again, the chemical industries, for example, are all in rural areas. Connectivity becomes a challenge. Getting good bandwidth is an issue. So we talk of all these technologies of being connected. Industry 4.0 requires good connectivity. Today, we don't have it. Probably 5G or a good 4G connection is going to work. So these are things, we still have infrastructure challenges. So I think until these things are sorted out, adoption of 4.0 is still going to be a challenge.
Thank you, V. Srinivas ji, for your candid thoughts. Now I request Ravi Shankar Jalan ji, if he can talk about when will his factory be a fully automated factory. Over to Mr. Ravi Shankar Jalan ji.
Pravin ji, it's a long journey for us. Like I said, we have started our journey 4 years back. And at this point of a time, there are many things which we have done. And in terms of the processes of S/4HANA, where a lot of module has been implemented in the recent past. So first priority for us for 2021 will be to adopt all this what we have done in over the period of last 2 years. That is the first one. And the second is, like I said, the plant automation is the one of the priority for us. And we have taken the initiative. And probably, I think some of the part of the plant automation will get completed in 2021. But my understanding is at least it will take 2 to 3 years time, where we will be having all the plant completely automate and running on IoT technology. Because this is going to be a journey for us.
Good, sir. Good announcement from you. Very encouraging announcement. And I think this is good for all of us. Thank you, sir. Sir, over to Mr. KK Jain. Sir, there have been some talks about artificial-based deployment in oil and refinery sector, but these are presently not meeting your standards. So if we can be more specific in a minute or so, why AI-based solutions are presently not meeting your standards, and how, and what are the challenges that you are facing? Over to Mr. KK Jain ji.
No, in fact, it's not a question of personal standard. It's the industry requirement I can talk.
Yes, I was talking from that perspective, sir.
Yes, so what Samir Saab has talked, what Ritwik has talked, refineries are now in a very, very competitive environment. They are functioning. Okay. Over and above, now the product specifications are also very, very tight. Earlier, the refineries were having the flexibility that if a product batch fails, you can do remixing with some other streams and you can make the product on spec. Now those days are gone because the sulfur specs are so tight, less than 10 ppm. Even there are few instruments which even can't measure that 10 ppm or less than that. So you require a rock steady your product quality. What happens so far, what we have done is we have now distributed control systems. Over and above, there is a multivariable control systems are working, and those are working based on the statistically generated product quality, which the multivariable controllers are controlling. The accuracy of those regression based mathematical model based quality is say around 95 to say 96% kind of things. Over and above what is done, there is a lab input which comes, and that the correction is done based on the lab input. Now the lab input comes after say 4 hours or say after 8 hours when the say, sample goes and corrections is done. Now the 8 hours time or the 4 hours time which the plant is running is based on the predicted quality and the control is being done. Can we improve that quality from say 95% to 99% or say 99.9%? So that in one goes, our products are always on spec. The issue with the say, refining industry is the feed is not stable. The product, what Samir was talking, a golden batch can be true if we know what is the feed which is coming to your refinery. But if the crude is changing, say every next batch, it's a different batch. There are around 400 types of crude available in the market. Now to improve the profitability, now the refiners are buying different kinds of crude. They are blending different types of crude so that each time when the crude comes, the quality is different. So golden batch kind of situation, particularly in refining industry, slightly difficult, but the AI can definitely help if we do the correct neuron fixing and neuron training. I'm very hopeful that the AI is a very, very powerful tool and can help the refining industry to give online at least 99% product quality predictions. If that is so, it will help a lot. Our carbon footprint will come down because the recycling will be less. Our energy efficiency will improve. We can say the product mix will change. The profitability improve. So this is the things where AI can help. Over and above, though there is a lot of automation in the refineries, though there is a lot of integration, and right from say terminal to say pipelines to refineries and to say even the crude tankers, etc. But what I feel now more and more advanced equipment automations are required, like drone, like robotic control systems. We have now this has already started, like manhole cleanings or say drone for say flare strip inspections or the stack inspection. Now even now today I was talking with the director BPCL. They are thinking now to put advanced cameras to monitor the critical equipments where the hot spots gets developed. And it is difficult, a person can't go there. 700-degree temperature is there. Nobody can touch it, nobody can feel it. So the advanced camera can be put in there so that online monitoring is there. You can go to the limit of equipment where you can optimize all your performance, even then while maintaining the safety also. So what I feel, the digitalization is nothing but providing the right kind of solution through the data which we are capturing and then implementing those decisions. One more thing I would like to add is technologies are not available. It is now the requirement is the amalgamation of the domain knowledge and the technology. Technology is there. It is the industry people who have to tell to this technology provider, can you do these things? My requirement is this, you are having this kind of technology, so kindly implement this thing. So that's what I was saying. As an industry person or as a domain expert person, I require more role of the AI in the oil industries. Thank you.
Pravinji, you are mute.
I will take another 10 minutes of yours, valuable time. We will have 4 or 5 questions from the audience, which they have already typed in. So another 10 minutes, wait for us, sir. One is from anonymous attendee. He's talking about for PI Industries who implemented AI ML project. I think it is better you talk to Samir, who would be providing you this particular data. Samir, would you like to respond? Hello.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Why don't you reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'll share your details.
Yeah. So the question was with respect to AI ML, who is your partner?
Please reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Okay, sir. So Nirav, banker from London, has asked, Ronak, nice presentation. AVEVA is part and parcel of many of our clients' great work. Kuriyachan Jose is talking about carbon capture technology and hydrogen fuel alternative should be focused on our discussions. We are definitely planning to have a panel on hydrogen, green hydrogen, which we will come back to you shortly. How data science and AI can support this. When we talk about in the green hydrogen, we will talk about definitely about this, because no project can now be talked about without these technologies, whether AI and data science. Analytical data is just about Siddharth Arya. Sustainability, profitability, reduced footprints, less implementation type, and predictive analyst data. I think all our speakers talked about it. Kurichan Jose is again talking, why are we not highlighting wind turbines and innovation as a clean energy initiative? Because this is about chemical industry. So that's the reason we are not talking about wind turbines here. I think consulting companies like Ingenero should focus on this. Dr. Pratap Nair, your word on this?
Yes, like I said, in the sustainability area, there are one is in your existing thing. How do you improve your sustainability parameters? Just making operating changes. The other is introducing things like whether it's solar power or wind energy and so on, or green hydrogen utilization of that. So that is an area. Yes, we are working with our customers on those innovative side of things as well. There is a place for each one of those. What you can capture immediately is, by making changes to your existing operations. So, which is what, but definitely a valid point.
Galaxy M21 talks about how digitalization system is helpful for sustainable business in chlor-alkali sector. And what is the future of digitalization in India? Who would like to take this? Chlor-alkali, Tata Chemicals, or? Then there is a question for Mr. Siddharth Arya. They mentioned Flare software during presentation, and we can convert technology to solution by sustainably digitalization and reduce carbon footprint and optimizing process. So is it AVEVA or Ingenero?
Yes, we had mentioned that. That's one of our solutions that we have actually deployed for a few of our customers. It uses ML AI, taking the data, and it keeps tracking the emissions, and essentially tries to get you to a zero flare situation.
Then there is a question for Mr. Swapnil Sarma. As a chemical engineer with 2 years of experience, what skills should I focus upon as the trend of the industry? I think we talked about all the technologies, and if you would have heard about it, all digitalization technologies, whether it is data mining, whether it is cloud, whether it is IoT, whether it is machine learning, whether it is robotics. So there is almost 12 technologies which comes under deep tech. And if you focus on all these things, or if you focus on specific 1 or 2 topics, you will be able to change the complete scenario of that particular company and that particular industry. Then we have, so I think we have answered almost all the questions. I would like to thank all my speakers for giving time out and explaining them in detail and making it very crystal clear. So my question to all the 120 participants who are there, this is not for the prize. This is just for a feedback that I want to know from you, that today, the topic that we have touched, achieving sustainability via digital transformation, where will you rank us on a scale of 1 to 5? So I would request all participants to please type in on the chat window, where will you rank us on a scale of 1 to 5? How was our presentation? How was our speakers? And where do you rank us? So this will give us a feedback that we can work better and try to be more proactive in whatever that we are doing. That was an honest feedback. If you will give, that would be great for us, not to satisfy us, but to make us more better as we move forward. A big hand of clapping to all my speakers who have done exceptionally well, and to all my delegates who participated and stood by us. I was seeing at one count, we were around 200 plus. We had around 542 registrations. That was a record for us. 200 plus exact numbers we will get after the presentation is over. And then let me also, I have got the winners also. Let me announce the winners. The winners are Nirav Banker. He is from London, and he is from Cambridge GmbH. He is the first prize winner. The second prize, these are all for the quiz part. The second prize winner is Prashant Rawat, Deputy Director, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, Bombay. He is the second prize winner. Then the third is Mr. Rajeshwar, Manager, Digital Solutions, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. And the fourth is Mr. Kingshuk Maiti, Senior Manager, IS Strategy, HPCL, Bombay. So what we have seen is out of the 4 prizes, 3 have gone to the oil industry. Indian Oil, BPCL, HPCL. So everybody has got 1 prize each. Thanks to Mr. KK Jain, who is working very actively in the oil and the gas sector. The bumper prize winner, we have also, and I would like to thank all my speakers who contributed and helped us in this journey. We were just experimenting this for the first time. And I think within the time frame, we have been able to finalize the winner. And the bumper winner is who will get a Xiaomi smartphone. He's a student. He's a mechanical engineering student from BITS Pilani. And the name of the winner is Mr. Shuryaprakash Shukla. So I would like to thank all the 5 winners who has been announced in the ICN Play and Win contest and in the ICN bumper contest question. I would like to thank my partners, presenting partner AVEVA and supporting partner Ingenero for helping us to come out with this sustainability and digitization program or digital transformation program. Let me thank once again all my speakers who have been with us for the last 2 hours, more than 2 hours. Normally we try to complete within the time frame, but somehow it over exceeds. Sorry for that. And I would like to thank once again from the bottom of my heart, from ICN to all my speakers, to all my delegates who has participated in this conference. And we will come back to you on the next set of Atmanirbhar Bharat Chemical series. This is on December 22. And this the topic is Making India a Global Agrochemical Manufacturing Hub. This will start at 3 p.m. Thanks once again. This is Pravin Prashant signing off to meet you again on December 22, 2002. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.